Christine from Pack Hacker. In this video, we're taking a look at the Tropicfeel Shell Travel Backpack, which I've been testing for 2 weeks. Let's dive in. As you can see from this handy dandy little logo down here on the bottom of the bag, this travel backpack can be a 20-liter day pack all the way up to basically giving you more than 40 liters worth of space if you're packing for a trip. I have tried to pack it out as much as possible, and I still think there's probably room inside that I did not fill. And I'm definitely packed for at least a week worth of gear inside here. It's like a half pound or so, depending on my math, a little more than a half pound lighter than the previous version. So that's kind of cool. And it's made with recycled polyester, virgin polyester, nylon, and span, which you can sort of see going on all around the bag here. And then there's this nice like water resistant coating here on the bottom, so that, you know, if you set it in water or dirt or whatever, it just brushes right off, and it feels really nice. Cat hair, sorry. Yeah, then we've got Woojin hardware for the buckles and the adjusters, and then there are YKK zippers that have heat shrink material. I'm just showing you the one at the top because it's the easiest for me, but they all work just as well. And most of them don't have a water resistant coating, but they're got fabric welts or they're reverse coil models. So moisture is really kept at bay, definitely, no matter how you are using the bag. The expansion is done by these straps on the side. So basically, if you need more space, you unhook these G-hooks from the side, from these little loops in the front, and it just gives you way more space. And then if you are carrying less, there's a similar one on the other side, sorry. But if you're carrying less, you can cinch it up so that it really compresses it down. Obviously I have a lot of gear in here, so it's not compressing it down so well, but that's okay, just to show you how it works. We've also got a carry handle on the top, which is good for hanging it on a hook, and another one on this side in case you have to, basically if you're gonna slide it over rolling luggage, well, if you're gonna pick it up out of the trunk or whatever, or pull it out of the overhead bin, you can do so there. As far as rolling luggage, there's also a pass-through back here that you can unhook and tuck behind the back panel if you don't want it. So the harness system is as big and beefy as you would hope for with a large travel backpack like this. We have sternum strap that goes on a little daisy chain so you can find the right fit. There's like a little bit of elastic on this side, so it really dials in the fit, and there are strap keepers, which are nice. I like having that. There are load lifters at the top, which I definitely think help, especially when you're shorter like I am. It helps bring the bag up so everything fits a little nicer. And then there is also a little hip belt here with a little padded wings and adjustable webbing straps. But what's really nice is because this can shrink down, I like the fact that you can shove these through the back panel, so then you don't have to use them if you're not, you know, carrying as much as I am carrying right now. They both fit in there really nicely, and then it just sort of stays out of the way, so you don't have them like flapping around when you're not using them. I really like that. The shoulder straps and the back panel both are nicely padded, have breathable mesh. We've got air channels here. It's rather stiff padding, but it's comfortable, if that makes sense. It's just not super cushy. And then we've got like attachment loops and a D-ring here in case you want to. I've been putting my keys actually, like for the office, my office fob, on this shoulder strap, and just makes it really convenient to get at when you're out and about. So as I was saying, once you get, you know, everything adjusted properly, it's really a rather comfortable bag, even when you have it fully packed out like I do. The load lifters and the hip belt they work really well together. You just have to get the load lifters up first in order to make the hip belt fit better, at least in my short torso's case. But everything is very comfortable. And then I really like that you can like take off all of the, or hide away all of the additional support if you are carrying less. That makes it very easy to adapt to day pack use. I also tested the Shell Pro Light, which is very similar to this, but I do like the structure of this bag more, because even when you have it compressed, it still looks nice because it has those thicker materials. The bag itself has more structure, and it just sort of looks better in everyday use than something that's more flexible. So if you are familiar with Tropicfeel as a brand, you know that they have different modular accessories that would help, that you can connect to this bag to help you pack or give you more space. And so one of them is the toiletry bag. This is actually the Pro Light version of the toiletry bag, but the C toiletry bag that isn't Pro Light that goes with this backpack is very similar. It just has different materials that would match this backpack. But either way, I can show you how it works. So there's this little boot here that pulls out, and then we've got the stretchy elastic with a G hook, and then that goes through, there we go, these straps on the back. It's rather tight, but that's good because you want it to be like that. And then it attaches to this little loop up here, which, excuse my head in the frame, because I can't, it's hard to, when I can't see things, it's hard to slide it in. There we go, now it's in. So then you would have this little toiletry bag sort of attached to the front of your bag, giving you more space. There's also a front cube you can do the same thing with, and then the other accessory you can use with this bag is the wardrobe, the Tropicfeel wardrobe, and that goes inside. It's basically like a packing system for inside if you didn't have packing cubes. But anywho, that's what this little magnetic flap is for that. And then while I am already down here, I'm going to show you there is a zipper under here on the bottom, and you pull out this kangaroo pocket, and then it allows you to pack shoes there to keep them out of your bag, and also just to give you more space. I've got really large feet, and so my Crocs are really large, but it's very convenient. It's a little stretchy, and then these just go in the Hypalon tabs, and there you go. There's a little bit of breathable mesh on either side, and you can have your shoes outside of your travel backpack. So that's nice too, and that's just built in. We've also got a top quick access pocket. It's just a big dump pocket. I've got my little toiletry bag here, my phone, my wallet's buried in there too, but you just gotta sort of dig deep in order to find things, because it's this top flap is just a whole pocket. So there's that. And then if we flip around to the back here, between the hip belt here and where I have the luggage pass through, there's this little zipper, and this is like just a nice secure pocket back here, like for like your passport, maybe extra cash, something like that, because it's really rather hidden. I didn't use it much for daily use, but for travel it's definitely great, because once you're through customs and everything, you can shove everything in there, and then it's both against your back and that zipper is rather hidden, so it's a little more secure than other things that you would find. On the side here, we have two really nice stretchy mesh pockets for basically any size water bottle. I always just use a regular, Hydro Flask, but you can see even a thicker one would fit. I am a little concerned because it's such thin mesh. It's like if you've ever had nylons, stockings tear, I'm sort of afraid that could happen at a certain point, but I took it on a trip and in the car and everything, and it hasn't done it yet. So here's hoping that it's just stronger than it looks, And then finally, on the opposite side, we have the laptop compartment, and it just goes right here along. It's a vertical zipper, and it can fit up to a 16-inch device. There's nice padding on the front and bottom, no false bottom, so if you don't have shoes here, if you set it down hard, your laptop could bounce, but it's still pretty thickly padded, so I didn't have any problems with it. You'll just want to keep that in mind if that would bother you. So if you are finding this video helpful, go ahead and click like and subscribe so we can keep bringing you content like this to help you travel smarter. Now onto the main compartment, and there are actually 2 ways you can get into it. Sorry, two, not 4, 2. The first way is through the top flap. You undo these buckles and then you pull it up and you see that we have this nice, ooh, it's getting too tall for the camera. There we go. This nice just cinch opening, and it, like, you can open it really widely. And basically, especially like if you had the Tropicfeel wardrobe, it's, you know, it might be easier to basically pull it out that way. But sometimes I use this. Mostly I use the other way just because I like zippers better than toggles and cinch cords. But that is a me thing. I don't love going through both cords and buckles to get to my stuff. So usually I just use the other way, which is this beautiful fully clamshell opening. So I'm gonna do it the other way so that I don't dump out all my stuff. So this back panel just completely opens, and then voila, you can see all the stuff I have in here and all the extra organization we have going on here. There are, you know, several zippered pockets along the back panel to organize whatever gear you like. I've just got a pill bottle in here, but it's also worked well. I put my travel mouse in here. That worked really well. It's a great size for that. So you can use sort of a lot of different things depending. And then we've got, so it's basically like a third, a third, a third for these pockets. So we've got like a third, but it's divided in half, and then we've got a third and a third. So you can use it for what you like. Since I mostly use this for daily use, I've got my glasses in here. I've actually got my tech pouch in here. But for a trip, when I went on my trip, it was actually nice. I put socks and underwear in this one just because it's basically like a small packing cube that you could fill that way. So it's nice to have a little bit of organization, and then if you're not going to use it, it just all lays flat, which is really great. Then this remaining space, you can see I've got a lot of clothing in here, a lot of packing cubes. I've got 3 huge packing cubes, actually my lunch, because the packing cubes weren't enough to fill this. So, I mean, this is a week's worth of gear in these packing cubes. And so it's really easy to fill. It's also easy to fill with like weird bulky gear. Like I went out of town for a wedding and I had like my daughter's big wedge sandals, which did not fit in that shoe pouch, but I used the shoe pouch for my shoes, which were smaller. I mean, hers were like ankle high, big platform wedge. They were big. So tossed those in there, tossed a couple of packing cubes with the rest of our gear in there, filled these up with clothing, and then, I used the toiletry bag on the front. And so I packed 2 people for a weekend in this very easily, but you could also pack just 1 person in there, obviously. But it's also good. I do like that you can use it for daily use as well, because it doesn't, like, you really can cinch this down a lot. And then so all that extra fabric just goes at the top, but it doesn't really, even though, yes, it's taking up a lot of room on the top, it's not that big of a deal because you are carrying less, right? So then it really slims it down nicely. Let me see if I can do this quickly enough to sort of show you. So you don't really feel like you're carrying like a huge travel backpack, even when you want to use it daily. If you had a few things in there, it just cinches down nicely. It keeps enough structure. So it's sort of nice to have if you're looking for something that you want to use both for travel and for everyday. I think this is really a good option. Also, if you're into modular gear, obviously Tropicfeel has a lot of things you can add on, but this bag works just fine without the add-ons too, which I really like, because I don't like when they sort of like force you into buying something extra that they don't include. So it works well for pretty much any use case, and you know, it's adaptable to however you want it. So there you have it, the Tropicfeel Shell Travel Backpack. Thanks for keeping it here at Pack Hacker, your guide to smarter travel. We'll see you in the next one.